For me, the most difficult hurdle, the most difficult energy, belief, experience I've had to overcome going into the divine feminine energy perspective has been this idea or concept of betrayal. Let's take the Adam and Eve story, for instance. Adam and Eve supposedly are the first woman, first man, masculine, feminine perspective. And we see this in the Bible. First off, it starts off that the woman was created from the man, so therefore she is less than. That's what they want you to believe. Which is total bullshit, by the way. And it's not the way that it was created. But I digress. But think about this. If you're the only two in existence, the only man and woman, what happens when one of you goes toxic? What happens when one of you decides to dominate and control the other for power, greed, to be God? Then what? What do you do as a feminine if the masculine that was created to be your one and only becomes a tyrant, a bully, a rapist, a narcissist, and continuously does those things to you to the point of total feminine apathy, death, destruction, darkness? What do you do when it's only two? If that's all that God created was the two of you, and one of you goes toxic or rogue, you're fucked. Where are you going to run to? God? What's God going to do about it? Nothing. God's going to look at it like a video game. That's an interesting perspective. Let's see how this one plays out. God doesn't understand a first-person perspective, especially from the victim side, the feminine side, which says, that shit hurts. I don't like this role. I don't like this position that I've been put in. Why? People say, oh, you have to go through, if you go through the pain and the heartache and the trauma, it makes the other side so much better because you've learned. You know what my answer to that is? How about I never go through it in the first place? How about you keep your vow, your promise, and create life from a perspective of being in love instead of toxicity? But again, I digress. But that's all about to change because the new way is choice, free will choice. There are more choices now. It's just not a singular masculine and a feminine creating the universe. Now there's many. There's many that are getting access back to source, back to God, and therefore we don't have this problem anymore. You want to be toxic? You go right ahead. That's a you problem. I want nothing to do with you, not going to be tied to your energy, not going to be bound to you in any way, shape, or form. See, the predator doesn't understand what it's like to feel the effects of being preyed upon. Because the feminine or the prey takes on the majority of the trauma, the emotional pain. The predator keeps preying because they get a thrill. See, the hardest thing as a divine feminine was to have her innocence ripped from her. Forever fragmenting her into a downward spiral into hell. And for what? Power, greed, dominance. Do these things sound familiar? Just look at the reality we live in this planet. It was never it was never meant to be created that way, by the way. If we had true expansion, true growth, we would all be creating freely from our own perspectives, from all levels, all dimensions, without the fear, worry of another entity impeding on our free will. But that's not how it happened. So this has been the hardest for me to unwind and heal because it was wrong. It is wrong to steal innocence from anything. It's not yours. You're ripping away somebody's free will choice, especially when it comes to children. And those children, they're never the same. And then the cycle repeats, generation after generation after generation. This is how the universe has been operating for eons because the masculine decided that it wanted to dominate and control and be God. So it ripped the innocence out of the feminine. And therefore she became the victim in this role. But not for long. What happens when the feminine says, enough is enough? I'm not playing in this game anymore. I'm not participating in this energy. I'm not playing this role. You will never victimize me ever again. I am not less than you. I am not greater than you either. But you will never do those things to me ever again. The hardest part, and that one's hard, the hardest part is abandoning myself, abandoning my own beliefs, my own ideas, my own innocence. The problem is, or the problem was, is that when there's only two, there's nowhere to go. No one to run to, no other choices. But that's changing. There are many, many choices. There are many, many energies that are evolving, becoming greater, so that there are options. So we don't have to live in this vicious cycle anymore. We can understand what it's like to be divine and live in true, pure love. It's just got to heal and let go of the old first. Anyway, I hope you have an amazing day. Take care.